In this lesson, you will learn about quality and the process. After completing this lesson, you will have gained an understanding about what a process is. You'll have gained knowledge about the inputs and outputs of a process. What are they? You will learn about what variation and variables are in a production process. And you will learn about the impact of process variables on a quality output. It is important to understand the concept of a process when you're studying quality, because in a manufacturing setting, everything is done in a process structure format. So what is a process? So in any process, you have an input, an output, resources going in and controls coming down. And the whole concept of quality is that you want your process to be in control. If it's in control, it's predictable, therefore you will always have an output of a quality product. So the whole area of quality is making sure that your process is always in control. Unfortunately, there is always variation in production processes. Variation comes with variables, so things change. So for example, if we look at inputs, in our process we have different materials that we use, but they will come from different suppliers, and sometimes they might be of a different standard. So that creates variability regarding materials. If we look at environment in our process, well, if we want to produce our product in a controlled environment, we need to ensure that we keep tight control on our ventilation system, for example. But the ventilation system might be dependent on what's going on outside. So if the weather is a lot of rain or a lot of heat or a lot of cold, you might have to make changes to your ventilation system to compensate for the changes out in the environment. So that's another variable. So there's, unfortunately, in any process you will have lots of variables, and now you can see how quality needs to branch out into all these subsystems, and we have to try and control them utilizing quality practices. We need to try and control those variables so we always get the same quality output. What you've learned in this lesson is that in a process, inputs in the forms of raw materials, labor, consumers and energy are converted into outputs in the form of goods or services for consumers. The processes that produce goods and services all have some variation. The more variation in the process, the poorer the quality will be. Therefore, you want to reduce variation in your process, you want to control your process, and therefore have more reliable quality output. And in essence, that's what quality in a production area is all about, is working to control all your inputs. For example, your people are your inputs. You want to ensure that the right people are hired, they have the right qualifications, and they are trained. So that's an input, they're an input into your process. The raw materials, you want the raw materials controlled as much as you can. How do you do that? Well, you buy good quality materials. From who? Well, from good suppliers. How do you know they're good suppliers? Well, you have a contract with them that stipulates that they have to give into you, into production area, materials of good quality. How do you ensure that? You ask them to have quality standards in place. You conduct audits at their sites. You have a supplier evaluation program, and so on. And all of those things are part of quality within an organization. They're quality practice within an organization. And why are we doing it? Because we want to reduce down that variation. Because variation causes problems regarding quality. And that concludes this lesson on the important topic of what a process is and how not controlling it properly impacts the quality of your product.